She was cooked by her crush and was served with potatoes. Sad Satan was a game that was pulled out straight from the dark web.
There's a darkness creeping throughout the world. From real encounters caught on camera, from haunted objects and disturbing urban legends. The unexplained movements in your own home. Welcome back to the HFC Podcast. Let's get diving.
What the hell is that? Come on, girls. Let's go. Hear that? I think something's close. Here, girls. What is it? Let's go. Sounds like it's getting closer. What is that, girls?
"这是他白天从监控里看到的画面。
这家医院的走廊里，一个椅子在莫名其妙地动了起来。可是谁又知道，除了病人、医生、护士之外，还存在的东西，看后真的令人头皮发麻。
狗子又开始惊恐地往巷子里面走，并不断地回头看。快到巷尾的时候，狗子再次停下来看着外面。此时仔细观察发现， 一道黑影已经开始走进巷子，离狗子越来越近，最后狗子直接转身跑开了。就在这时候，透过灯光，我们看见黑影越来越近。刚开始是一个不规则的影子，当慢慢靠近灯光的时候，发现黑影越来越像一个人影，缓慢地走过了巷子。这很难解释，到底拍到了什么？
他是打开摄像头看看他的东西有没有少，无意中就发现了这个事情。
Some of these are real, and some are clearly staged. If you ever felt watched in your own home, comments, I felt it. Smash that like button if you believe the veil is thinning. From things that go bump in the night, to dolls that seem to breathe when no one's watching. Let's talk about the Labubu.
What happened?
His eye just turned green.
What do you mean they turned green?
Oh, hell nah.
Don't throw it to me! What happened?
It just turned green and I was cleaning my room.
What do you mean it turned green?
It's his eye.
His eye?
Yeah. Here. It's actually getting too small.
I broke the stick by accident, and it's all left. His face melted. He's good. I put him out now. He's still on fire. Look at what's up. Yeah, he looks fine. But I'm not gonna add a poll this time on comments. Did you guys you think we should put more fire on him, like put him more on fire, like just still his whole body just mostly all gone? So yeah.
Y'all need to stop following every trend. That Labubu doll, it's evil. A girl posted a video saying she threw hers out after waking up with a scar on her neck. No one else was in the room, no pets, no sharp objects, just her and that creepy doll.
Are Labubu's demonic? Story time. So a couple days ago, I went inside of a Home Goods and I was looking around at the candles, and I turn around and I see this. Just like this, the Labubu was like sitting on the shelf next to all these candles. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe it. This toy is literally like sold out everywhere. Like, people are like overpricing it on Facebook Marketplace. Like, you can get a hold of these toys anywhere. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to take it. So I take it home. And one thing my husband tells me is like, that thing better not be demonic. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a toy. And so I take it home. And that night I was thinking, I was like, but what are the odds that this toy that's like a multi-billionaire toy that's been famous, that's trending, that no one knew what it was and just left it on that shelf and no one else picked it up? Like, I was like, that's kind of weird though, that like no one knew what it was and didn't see it before I did, because the store was pretty packed. Anyways, I paid no mind to it. The following day, my chest starts hurting. And I'm like, why do I feel like there's like a tug like in my heart? Like, I was like, and it feels like I've been kind of like stabbed. I was like, it feels really, really weird. But I was like, it's whatever. So I grabbed the toy and I put it in my drawer in my room. And I'm like, I'm not going to look at it, like whatever. Okay, well, today I'm on my way to the gym and I'm driving. And all of a sudden, the light turns yellow and then it turns red really fast. And I was able to slam my brakes on time, so I didn't hit the person in front of me. But I was looking at my rearview mirror and I see the person coming at me. And I drive a Miata, like a 2-seater Miata car. And that's like one of the most dangerous cars because I can be killed in seconds and so can the car. And so I see them coming and I'm like, in split seconds, I'm like, they're going to hit me. And they did. They hit me. I was like, oh my God. And I freaked out and I started crying and I was like, I don't know what to do. I feel so much anxiety. So I tried to pull out of traffic. So I didn't stop traffic for something like minor, like, because I was fine. But this person just kept going. He ran off. Like, he didn't stop or see if I was okay or nothing. And so I started crying and I started calling my mom and they're like, it's okay. Don't worry. And then I get home and I look and I see how bad the car is and stuff. And I'm like in distress because I'm like, I can't believe this happened to me. Like, I've had this car, like I'm a Formula 1 driver. Like, I know how to drive. Like, how could I have gotten into a car accident? And I just started thinking and I'm like, dude, it's this little toy. I'm like, what are the odds that all of a sudden all this like paranormal activity starts happening to me? Like, my chest starts hurting. I start feeling ill. I get into a wreck today. Like, that's freaking crazy.
Better stop following trends. That Labubu doll is evil, and now y'all about to find out. So it's a video of this girl saying that she's throwing her Labubu away. She said she was asleep in her room and she woke up with a scar on her neck. Mind you, of course, nobody's in her room with her. Matter of fact, look at this shit.
I had to throw my Labubu away.
Listen.
And that's what I did. Cut the show. Cut the motherfucking show. No.
So she said her brother said he came in at 3 o'clock in the morning. And when he came in, a door that he left open was fully closed. Who closed the door? And then look at what the Simpsons said about that Labubu doll. We already know that the Simpsons always tell the truth about what's going on. And this ain't the only time somebody is saying that something happened with one of those Labubu dolls. I mean, look at the dolls. They look evil. They look like something is wrong. Why would you buy a doll that looks like that? Okay. Keep playing with these things and y'all gonna run into issues.
All right, you're still with me? If you haven't done so already, sub up, join this community, and also look at our Facebook page. It's a free group that you can join. It's an awesome community built, for people like you. Also, stay tuned to the end of the video. I have a very important message and story to share with you. But with that being said, let's keep diving.
If you have one of these in your home, be careful, because these little dolls are going viral online and people are saying that it carries some serious demonic energy. Now, these are called Labubu dolls, and they've been getting so popular that fans are waiting in line for hours just to get their hands on one. I mean, a fan tried giving one to Katy Perry during her concert, and Katy Perry just knocked it out of her hand. That's how weird it is, and I'll show you that full clip in a second. But the creators said that it's inspired by Nordic mythology, but many are comparing it to Pazuzu, which is a Mesopotamian demon known for bringing chaos. And it sounds like that's what's happening, because people are sharing their experience with this doll on social media, and some people are saying they feel like they're being watched, they're waking up with scratches, they're having terrifying nightmares, and one little girl was even caught on camera telling her mom that the eye color changed of the doll. Now, I don't know how believable all of that is, especially the physical stuff, but I do believe if you bring in some dark energy willingly into your home, that it can mess with you spiritually. The weirdest part of it all, of course, there's a Simpsons episode with a Pazuzu doll, and it possesses Maggie the baby, and then everything turns into chaos. But many celebrities have been seen rocking these things, like Rihanna and Kim Kardashian, but Katy Perry is one that does not. Just take a look to see what happens when a fan tries to give her one of these things.
This is exactly why I don't follow trends. Everybody that bought that Labubu doll not even knowing the truth behind it. As y'all can see, the smiling face doll and the smiling face demon. The creator of Labubu actually got the idea from this creature from the Nordic folklore. And the craziest part is they even had a whole Simpsons prediction about this. And now we're starting to see by the dozens paranormal stories of these Labubus. People having stuff move in their houses, they feeling like they've been watched. Whole time, they don't even know that they got a baby Chucky inside of their house. Probably makes sense on why they so popular. You see, this is why you do not follow trends. Like, why would you want to buy something with the nickname The Devil's Pet? Me personally, I bump down with a Labubu with a holy water swim.
Labubus are going crazy right now, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's this specific person that was interviewed recently, and he collects Pop Mart figures, like a whole bunch. He has so many.
Okay.
Now he told this story, and this is in the interview video, where he had like I think 12 on his desk, and he went to bed. Now this person, he has a sixth sense.
Wait, the guy like sleeping and his Labubus are on the counter.
Yeah, he had certain Pop Mart figures.
Okay.
Because Pop Mart owns Labubu.
Yeah.
Now he said, because he has a sense, after a while, like it didn't happen right away, but slowly and slowly, he would feel a presence of somebody watching, right? And the only thing that's there are the figures.
Hell
And obviously at first he didn't he didn't look too much into it, but it became to a point where he really felt a presence. So he walked over to it and he looks at it and he feels the spirit there in not one, but in 4 different figures. Yeah.
Hell no.
Now, what he said was 4 of them might have had the spirit and then the other 16 didn't, or the other how many other he had didn't. So what he did, because he said you can't just take it and throw it out. You can't do that because they'll get offended.
Yeah.
Like the spirit, the spirit will get offended if you just throw it away. Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to bring it. And he said that the figures, literally any figure, can be possessed by a spirit as long as it has 2 eyes, a mouth, and it's shaped as if it could be alive.
Yeah. Those are Labubus, fam.
Yeah. And a spirit could go into it.
Yeah.
And it's literally any of these figures that just kind of look,
Has the Labubu trend gone too far? People are baptizing their Labubus. People are getting their Labubus blessed. People are taking their Labubus with them to Sunday Mass. And just to all types of church services. Look at the girl holding up all her Labubus. And this is a Labubu before she's about to get baptized. But why are people blessing their Labubus? Because apparently they're demonic, but people still want them. People are saying that Labubus are Lucifer's favorite companions. Excuse me, what? How would you find that out? Others are saying that they feed on people's souls. People are saying that if you collect Labubus, you are not just collecting cute plushies, but instead that you are collecting pets of the underworld. I'm sorry, what is this all about? Yet Labubus being demonic is becoming such a widespread belief. So much so that people's parents are making them throw out their Labubus. So much so that people are throwing out their own Labubus. I have no idea where this Labubus are demonic belief began. If any of you guys know more about this, let me know in the comments down below. Also, has your Labubu ever done anything evil before? Or like given you nightmares or anything? Because apparently that's a thing too. Let me know before I get a real Labubu. Okay, bye.
So, what do you think about the Labubu doll? Would you get one in your home? Yes or no? Be honest. If you believe that spiritual warfare can attach to objects, comment it's real. A lot of people think these things are games or just innocent toys. But you never know what objects are carrying what spirits. And I know there's a lot of correlation there with the Pazuzu and the Labubu. Two different things. The Pazuzu image, that was AI. Pazuzu was not smiling. Also, this doll, it was based off the Nordic, not religion, but I guess the Nordic faith, so to speak. Alright, when people start taking their dolls to church, you know something's off. What about entire places cursed by history though? Now we're about to get more real by diving into cursed lands, cursed locations, also urban legends. Alright, let's get diving.
Sad Satan was a game that was pulled out straight from the dark web, but no one knew who made it. The game was first uploaded on YouTube by a channel named Obscure Horror in 2015. It featured a maze of black and white and screams being heard in the hallway. There was also reversed messages and weird photos. No enemies, no levels, just pure psychological horror. Or was it torment? Every now and then the screen would flash real images of children and politicians. Sometimes even very disturbing crime scenes. And the longer you play, the slower you move, the more the hallway shrinks and the creepier it gets. And all you can do is watch until something or someone finds you. The worst part was that the version we saw online wasn't real. The real file was deleted. People that played the actual real game said that it was too disturbing and couldn't be shared online legally. They called it Sad Satan, but was it really a trap or something else?
This is the world famous side forest, or as Thelma likes to say, forest. Another thing I was reading is that because the brush is so thick throughout here, that there's a lot of times, there's like numerous bodies that have never been found out here because it's just so thick that people get lost and die or commit suicide. A lot of the people here are already like, oh, it's got a really heavy feel to it. Crazy. There's a lot of wild stories about the things that go on in this place. You get lured off into the woods, you get lost. It generally attracts a lot of like depressed people. So when they come out here and they get lost in the forests, they end up like themselves. So that's like loosely what the lore is based on or something like that. I'll have to look.
When people get hurt here, it's because they cross this line. Something about being past here is when people get lost and they hear voices telling them to go deeper. Apparently this forest is haunted by yurei, which are apparently spirits of the dead here in Japan. I think I see a tent way down there. What is that? I'm going to head up to it right now. I'm zooming in all the way. Let's go to that. All right, we found a tent. They left everything here. And flowers. What? Yeah. They left flowers here. And they have a book in there. There's a book. They burned their book. All right, I'm going to grab this book. Can we do a Google Translate on this book? Let's see what this is. Someone wrote it like a journal. One thing we found too is their power bank. They took their power bank and they burned that. And over here, they had a birthday cake.
Libby stays at the White Lagan Bothy in Scotland when this was captured.
Nice bump outs. Nice and cozy. I've set up my bed for the night. Gonna get the fire on when it gets darker. There's normally loads of candles around, but they've all been burnt out. Time to get this fire started. Let's get this place nice and toasty. Don't know what it is about fires, but there's something so beautiful and hypnotic about just staring into them. Got one of the water filter straws, and it comes with 2 little bags as well, so you can attach the straw to that. But I've not got to use. Oh, maybe this is the guests. It was just knocking on the door again, and then I went out, but there was no one there, so I don't know what's going on, but I've heard of any haunted bobbies or anything. I've never had weird shit. Fuck's sake. Just wanted a nice little bobby night. If you've watched all my videos before, you know I don't do shit like this. Gonna be a fun night. There was no one there. I don't know if that's just the people fucking with me or something. I don't know if that's something they do. But I don't think it would be that family. It was just a dad and his daughter and son. Oh well, we'll see. I can hear walking around in the other room, and then I go in there and it just stops. Maybe I just put my music on really loud and forget about it. Cameraman never dies, right?
These are the most haunted places in Afghanistan. A lot of you have requested Afghanistan, so here you go. Starting at number 3, Forward Operation Base Salerno and the city of Khost. The base's location lends itself to many ghost stories already. There is an ancient Afghan graveyard on its outskirts. This base is guarded by 2 watchtowers. The Marines there always refuse to return back to the towers at night. Every Marine that has been in that tower heard footsteps of a little child behind him and a voice of a little girl speaking to him. Other troops have heckled the Marines until the child came to visit them at night watch. It's all fun and games until the spirits show up. Number 2, the haunted military observation post in Helmand province. In this observation post, there are many people that are buried right under the rock after a missile attack. And since then, this area was always haunted. American soldiers described seeing strange lights, hearing strange static on the radio, seeing sudden temperature swings from hot to freezing, hearing voices in the night, and having a creepy, uneasy feeling. Several Marines posted there said someone or something was keeping an eye on them. Several people also said they heard screaming in the darkness. I'm assuming jinns don't really enjoy the company of American soldiers. And finally, number 1, the village of Nejiban in Kandahar province. This small village is very well known for its unusual stories. This place is not only haunted, there is something more sinister. There have been troops in this village that murdered innocent civilians for no reason at all. When they were captured and asked, they don't remember what they did. New people that spend a certain amount of time in this village lose consciousness and go insane, to the point where they get possessed and commit horrible things. It's safe to say that the village of Nejiban isn't a good option for a holiday. You tell me, what country should I do next?
Have you ever heard of the Indian urban legend of Bullet Baba? The legend revolves around a motorcycle that is believed to have supernatural powers and provides protection to travelers. The story goes that in 1988, Ombana, whose real name was Om Singh Rathore, was riding his Royal Enfield motorcycle late at night when he lost control and crashed into a tree. He tragically lost his life in the accident. The police impounded the motorcycle and took it to the police station as part of their routine procedure. However, The motorcycle mysteriously reappeared at the accident site the following day. The police, perplexed by this unusual occurrence, seized the motorcycle once again and emptied its fuel tank. They even chained it to prevent it from being moved. Despite their efforts, the motorcycle miraculously returned to the crash site once more. The locals perceived this as a sign and began worshipping the motorcycle as a guardian deity. They constructed a shrine around it, where the Bullet Baba's motorcycle stands to this day. Devotees offer prayers, flowers, and incense at the shrine seeking protection for their journeys. According to the legend, it is believed that Ombana's spirit resides in the motorcycle, and he continues to protect travelers from accidents and mishaps on the road. It is said that those who pass by the shrine offer their respects to Bullet Baba by lighting incense and pouring water over the motorcycle. Furthermore, there is a belief that if anyone steals or disrespects the motorcycle, they will face misfortune or be involved in a serious accident. Several anecdotes and stories circulate about individuals who ignored the sanctity of the shrine and suffered unfortunate consequences soon after.
The Great Wall of China isn't just a wall, it's a warning. Think about it. 13,171 miles long. Let me put that in perspective. Crossing the U.S. coast to coast is about 3,000 miles. Now multiply that by 4, and then add 1,000 miles. That's how massive this wall is. Now the question is, who built something that massive for centuries just to keep a few nomads out? Here is where things get strange. They started building it in 220 BC, over 2,000 years ago. Back then, resources were scarce. Manpower was everything. So ask yourself, what could have scared them so badly they spent more than 1,000 years constructing this monster of a wall? But here's the twist. Take a closer look. The steep side of the wall, the side designed to stop invaders, it's facing China. Yeah, the defenses weren't built to keep people out. They were built to keep something in. And that brings us to the theory of the Tartarian Empire. They say Tartaria built the wall, not the Chinese. And the purpose wasn't to protect, it was to contain, to lock away something so dangerous, so terrifying, that it could threaten the entire empire. That's strange, right? What was the wall really holding back?
A game so cursed you could only play it once, and then it would delete itself forever. In the 1980s, a company by the name Carvina decided to create a game called Kill Switch. Supposedly, only 5,000 copies were made. They said once you beat the game or die in it, the game would delete itself, and you could never play it again. You played as a girl named Portal that was trapped in a mine with demons. There was also a second character by the name of Gast, but he was invisible. They said that you couldn't see what you were controlling, and the last level was just horrifying. But no one knew what happened because no one had proof of the game. Because once the game ends, it vanishes forever. It wasn't until 2005 when someone on eBay listed the game for about $700,000. It was bought by a mysterious person, but till this day no one knows what happened to the person or the game, or what they saw in the game. So was Kill Switch a lost media myth, or a real digital ghost? Either way, if you ever find it, don't play it.
This is one of the scariest urban legends I've ever heard, and it ended up being true. So there's this stretch of road in Turkey along the D100, and the urban legend says that if your car breaks down on the side of this road, do not get out of the car. Because according to the locals, one night, a few people got into an accident, and when they got out of their cars, they all melted on the road. Well, this is coming from an episode I just did on urban legends that ended up being true, but it turns out there is a reason that they all spread this legend around. In 1965, a passenger bus was traveling down this road when it crashed into a big truck carrying a bunch of water, and it caused water to spill out all over the road. The passengers got out of the bus because they were okay, but when their feet touched the pavement, their shoes started to melt, and it felt like their feet were on fire. And that's because the truck was not carrying water, it was carrying nitric acid, an acid that dissolves skin on contact. As they were on the ground crawling away from the accident, the acid was melting the skin off of their bones. And the worst part in all of this is that a group of 12 people saw a bunch of water that had collected in a drainage ditch and thought they should jump into it to protect themselves. But really, they jumped into a pool of undiluted acid and dissolved within moments. If you want to hear more urban legends and the even scarier stories they're based on, check out this episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, and this is part of a whole series that we do.
You hear this sound, you're doomed.
Pop, pop, pop.
That's the call of Hachishaku-sama, a yokai from Japanese folklore, otherwise known as the 8-foot-tall woman. She's thought to be a vengeful spirit with great strength and speed, who mostly hunts children to devour their souls. But if you get in her way, she might come for you too. It's said that she's impossibly tall, but can trick her victims by taking on the form of a loved one. According to the legends, the best way to identify her is to see if she's wearing a long white dress and a wide-brimmed hat. But once she has you fooled, she'll shapeshift into this ghastly specter with long, black, unkempt hair, pale skin, dead eyes, and a twisted smile before she takes you away to your doom. And she may have already been watching you, as Hachishaku-sama is said to spend weeks and months watching her prey before she makes her move. And the only warning you'll get is this sound.
Pop, pop, pop.
Now, the lore says that Hachishaku-sama is impossible to defeat, but there are some ways to ward her off. The most popular being is to place salt-filled bowls in each corner of your home. You'll know she's close when the salt turns black. And no matter what, don't open your door for anyone or anything, even if they sound like family. And if you can make it until sunrise the next day, you'll survive. But the better option is to just avoid being in Japan altogether so she doesn't get you. Do you think you could survive Hachishaku-sama? Make sure to like and follow for more folklore and legends.
Native legends you might not know. The legend of the little people. I've noticed all around the world, almost every culture and every tribe has their own version and names for them. Here is what I was told about the little people growing up, is that they are small spirits that look like little versions of us. They are very mischievous and love to play tricks like hiding things on people, and are drawn to shiny items, and they will sometimes maybe even leave behind some gifts for you if they like you. Other things I've heard is that they might even take you or your children away if found alone in the woods late at night, or if the child is not being properly taken care of. Sometimes if a child comes across them, they will make them promise, if they don't tell anyone that they saw them, they will one day come back and help them. I'll be doing a more in-depth dive into the legends of the little people, as well as my very own experience. So if you like videos like this, be sure to like and follow my page, my YouTube, and podcast at Sacred Cree, where I tell all sorts of spooky, scary stories and legends. See you there.
What is the scariest urban legend from your state? Today we're talking about Texas. I have to admit this is the creepiest one I've come across so far. From 1903 to 1913, 8 kids went missing in Terrell, Texas, and I probably said that wrong. These kids would go missing in the middle of the night with seemingly no evidence left behind, and the adults in the town didn't understand what was happening until the children would come forward years later telling them exactly what happened. These kids said that sometimes they would wake up in the middle of the night and there would be little candies on the windowsill with a note in them saying, "Can you come out to play?" And it was signed by the candy lady. The kids in town didn't say anything to the adults because they were afraid that the candy would stop showing up. To make things even stranger, while investigating these disappearances, a farmer once happened upon a candy wrapper in his field, and when he opened this candy wrapper, there was rotting children's teeth inside the wrapper. A few weeks after these teeth were found, the officer that was investigating the disappearances, he was also found not alive anymore. Both of his eyes had been stabbed with forks, and his pockets were full of candy. And this is how the urban legend of the Candy Lady started. So who exactly is the Candy Lady? Many people assume that the Candy Lady is actually Clara Crane. Clara was married to an older man, and they had one child together named Marcella, who they called Marcy. Unfortunately, Marcella would pass away in a farming accident, and this left Clara absolutely devastated, and she blamed her husband for this accident for years. Allegedly, she decided that she was going to get revenge on her husband, and the way she did this is she poisoned little caramel candies and fed them to her husband. After he passed away, she was charged with his murder. She was found guilty, but instead of sending her to prison, they sent her to a mental health facility. In this mental health facility, the doctors noted that she had shredded all of her bed sheets and turned them into a doll that she named Marcy, and she would frequently talk to this doll. She also sent letters to her sister talking about how she was going to get out of this mental institution soon. And in 1999, she was released due to overcrowding. So now, many people think that Clara was kidnapping these children to replace her own daughter, who she tragically lost. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Clara is the Candy Lady, and is there any truth in this urban legend? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and follow for more creepy things.
Haunted dolls from different countries. America. Annabelle. Japan. Australia. Later. Canada. Mandy the doll. Italy. Pupa the doll. Brazil. Fofão. Singapore. The Barbie doll on the girl's shrine.
She was cooked by her crush and was served with potatoes. This is the disturbing story of a beautiful young Russian girl by the name Katrina. She was into poem writing and heavy metal, but sadly in one of these concerts, she met someone that would change her life. She met a 19-year-old man by the name of Maxon in one of these heavy metal concerts. She ended up liking him so much she started developing a crush. Her mother, on the other hand, got suspicious weird vibes from this person and didn't want her daughter to be near him. But of course, she brushed it off and she continued to talk to this person. One day she lied to her mother and said that she was gonna go stay over at a friend's house to study for a project. Her mother was hesitant, however she insisted and she was able to go. She ended up lying to her mother to go to Maxim's apartment and meet up with other friends. These three individuals referred to her as fresh meat. When she arrived there, they drowned her and started eating her. One of the roommates claimed to have heard noise but didn't think much of it. When she came back from work the next day, her roommates served her some potatoes with beef. Of course, she didn't think anything suspicious because they're her roommates. Little did she know that the meat, wasn't really animal meat. The meat belonged to Katrina, who they've had chopped, dismembered, and eaten. They cooked her with onions and spices in the oven. When they were interrogated, they said they ate her because they were drunk and hungry. The people in the courtroom were horrified and disgusted by the crime scene photos. They were charged for the murder of Katrina. What do we think about this disturbing case?
On one side of it, I think we really do have an entire subspecies of creatures that do exist mostly inside the earth, and they are not readily surface dwelling anymore. And I do believe, like in Lake Havasu City, Arizona, man, inside the London Bridge is a massive room, like a throne room, where they engage in this magic. But this Brotherhood of the Serpent, they call upon Nahash, the dragon. And
would that be in normal terms Satan?
Yeah, most people know him as Satan, right? Yeah. But like there is a great red dragon. Like it's a physical, that's what he looks like in reality. He was cursed and man, he made him a monster. Yahweh made him a monster. And they would commune with these things. There's 13 grandfathers take 13 of their grandsons and they bring them into these rooms and do these things on these specific times and rituals for all kinds of stuff. But the dragons tell them the future. This is like always what they've been able to do is Satan leads Yeshua up onto a great high place and says, I shows him all the nations of the earth and all their kingdoms and their reigns in a moment of time. He shows them the future. That's what they do. They can show you what's to come. This is why we get hunted by them. He knows if we're going to be part of his adversaries. He knows if we're going to be on his enemy list. And that's why he targets us at our youth. That's what so happens. So many people, they're like, why has my life been a nightmare from the beginning? It's because you have a purpose and a destiny that adversary absolutely categorically does not want to come to pass. It's a real life Terminator scenario. And so he sends his assets in to destroy people, to ruin their life. And those meeting places happen when they sit down in these rooms and they try to call up these creatures. It's from inside the earth. It wasn't like ethereal mist. They were physical things that would come out of these tunnels and they would come into the room and they would consume the offerings that were given there. And then the words of the Nahash would come forth and they would prophesy to these guys. Like they would prophesy out of the mouth of the serpent what each one of their life callings, their shots. He's the shot caller, man. It's like a pimp from prison. He's calling the shots, and you had a bunch of fallen watchers that were in prison in Tartarus for a reason. Yeah, but they got ways of getting messages out, just like the cronies in jail today, and that's what a lot of people are dealing with. They think they're dealing with the top dog, and they're like, I'm finally into the big game. And it's like you're dealing with, a private in the hierarchy, but he can masquerade like a general. And so some people are really dealing with death himself, and some of them are dealing with one of his princes. And this is what my family's covenant was with the dragon. They didn't mess around, man. They went all the way to the chain of command. They uncovered a bunch of, my great-grandfather's grandfather was an archaeologist who dug into Indian mounds out in the Ohio River Valley. And they started finding a priest class that was these serpent worshipers. And that's what they started calling upon. And they started trying to wake up and rise up Huachiblos, which is these deities, these dragon fire deities.
Now these next clips are real evil in the flesh. Real stories. Via discretion advised.
Не бійся, все добре, не бійся. Доповідаю, знайдено постраждало. Знайдено заблукалого, знайдено. Бери на руки, так. Ноги замотав. Там постраждало. Живий, живий. В задовільному стані, переносимо до квадроциклу. Ми всі направити по головній дорозі, по нашому ходити.
Imagine being a plumber and getting called out to unclog a drain seemed routine enough, right? Until you realize, I have to call the police because I'm pretty sure I just stumbled upon a crime. Let me show you.
Communications. I'm a plumber and I'm on site for a job, and we got we're snaking a drain, and we've been pulling back. We probably pulled back about 10 pounds, 15 pounds of it looks like flesh type of stuff, meat, and we don't know what it is.
The issue started several days before. He didn't want any plumbers called. He tried snaking the drain himself. He was taking efforts to fix it. By the 29th, it was getting so bad. The smell, the pipes were backing up into the people's bathtubs. People upstairs just took it upon themselves to call a plumber. The officers on the scene decided to knock on the door of Adam Strong's basement apartment. They recall him putting his head down and making a comment almost instantaneously that the jig's up, it's a body.
This American woman was pure evil. In the 1950s in Florida, a woman named Jenny Talia ran a quiet little orphanage. Everyone called it Ray of Hope. People donated clothes, food, and money, thinking she was a saint for taking in unwanted children. But inside those walls was hell. Jenny didn't care about the kids. She starved them, locked them in the basement for days. If they cried, she made them eat soap. If they tried to run, she'd shave their heads and leave them out in the cold. Neighbors only got suspicious when kids started disappearing. Jenny claimed they were adopted. But in 1957, a plumber discovered a hidden room behind the furnace. Inside were small beds, shackles on the walls, and dozens of teeth in a glass jar. Jenny was arrested, but at trial she said, "They were mine. I gave them shelter. I gave them purpose." When asked what she meant by purpose, she smiled and whispered, "You'd be amazed what people pay for little teeth." She lost her life in prison, but they say her orphanage still stands, abandoned, and at night people claim they hear children screaming and a woman humming lullabies behind the door.
1986, 3 teenage boys were throwing chunks of concrete off a highway bridge. One of those chunks smashed through the windshield of a car carrying a college student and her friend. The boys rushed down to the scene and found the girls miraculously unharmed. Pretending to help, they offered to drive them to a nearby payphone. But their true intentions were far more sinister. While they did take the girls to a phone, they never brought them back to their car like they had promised. Instead, 2 of the boys drove them to a remote field while the third left the scene. There, the remaining two subjected the girls to hours of unthinkable torture and assault. At one point, one of the attackers carelessly said the other's name in front of the victims. That slip-up sealed their fate. Knowing the girls could now identify them, the boys made a brutal decision and ended their lives. 21-year-old Wendy Afredo and 20-year-old Dawn McCreary tragically lost their lives that night. Thankfully, all three boys were caught shortly after. Richard Cooey was sentenced to death. However, Clinton Dickens received only a life sentence, as he was still 6 months away from being considered a legal adult. The third man, Kenneth Horonetz Jr., was released on parole after just 1 year, because he had left the scene early. Despite later arguing that his obesity made execution inhumane, Richard Cooey was executed by lethal injection in 2008.
These stories aren't just content, they're spiritual breadcrumbs. The world isn't just haunted, it's contested. And you, the viewer, are being called to wake up. Now, I saved this clip for last, and I want to dive into it a little bit, and I'll share a personal story with you. Alright, let's go.
Does anyone else remember the terrifying story of Carmen Winstead? Carmen Winstead was just a teenage girl that was trying to make friends at her new school. Her dad had recently lost his job, so he and Carmen relocated to Indiana so that he could find a new place of work. This was difficult for Carmen, as it would be for most 17-year-olds, and as a result, she found her first year at this new school to be pretty challenging. But then, she was befriended by a group of 5 other girls in her class. They all appeared pretty nice, but Carmen would soon discover that these girls had been gossiping about her behind her back and spreading rumors about her. One of these rumors that this group of girls had started was that Carmen was sleeping with the school's janitor. This ultimately damaged her reputation at school, so now she not only lost these 5 girls that she thought were her friends, but also any other chance to make new friends. Carmen summoned up the strength to confront the girls that were fabricating these horrible lies about her, but this just led to even more bullying. In response to Carmen's attempt to stand up for herself, the girls started calling her names, and they even broke into her locker and ruined her personal items. Carmen was really hurt by this and didn't know what else to do, so one day she stayed after class and told her teacher about the relentless bullying she had been experiencing. The next day after lunch, there was a fire drill scheduled. As the students gathered outside and the teachers began doing roll call, Carmen was seen by a sewer opening with the 5 girls that had been tormenting her. The girls thought it would be funny and embarrassing to Carmen if they pushed her down the sewer drain in front of the entire class. So they circled around her and pushed her into the opening of the sewer. As Carmen fell into the sewer opening, one of the girls shouted, "She's in the sewer," in an attempt to get attention and embarrass Carmen. The teacher rushed over to the opening, and when they looked inside, they saw Carmen standing still with her head turned to one side. The police were called, and when they arrived, they saw that Carmen's face had been completely torn off during the fall, and her neck had been broken. Everyone involved was questioned, and the 5 girls claimed that Carmen had just fallen into the opening all on her own. Because of this, the case was closed and classified as an accident. A few months later, strange posts from an unidentified person started appearing on the MySpace profiles of all of the students that went to Carmen's school. The posts were saying that Carmen's death had not been an accident. Those responsible for Carmen's death were given a window of opportunity to confess to authorities or face dire consequences, and these 5 girls never turned themselves in. Instead, each one of them were found dead, one by one, after they refused to accept responsibility for their actions. Carmen's spirit continued to haunt the internet by sending chain mail that stated that if the receiver didn't spread the word about the horrible things those 5 girls did to her, they too would suffer the same fate. Whoever didn't forward the email or repost her message would begin to hear laughter coming from their sink, the shower drain, or the toilet. They would go to sleep that night, only to wake up in a sewer, terrified and completely paralyzed. Then, as they screamed in horror, Carmen would come and tear their face off, just like what had happened to her.
If you stay to the end, you're a real one. So, I will be real with you. Growing up in the projects in the 1990s, there weren't many Trinidadians in the hood. There were a lot of Spanish, there were a lot of white, and there were a lot of black. I got picked on every single day. I had hand-me-down clothes. It was like 18 of us living in an apartment. So I would wear my cousin's clothes. My mom, my stepdad, they couldn't afford to, support a family and get us the new Jordans or the name brand clothes. So I was picked on for that. I was picked on because of the color of my skin, because I wasn't black, I wasn't Spanish, and I wasn't white. So I was picked on every day, my brother and I. We used to have to fight, a lot in school, and we used to get beat up a lot and jumped. All because they didn't like the way we looked. They didn't like the way that we dressed. Bullying is real. And a lot of kids and adults go through this. The other day, Friday, when I picked my daughter up, I had a real talk with Penelope after watching this Carmen, clip. I told her, sweetheart, is anyone picking on you in school? Do you feel bullied? She was like, no. I can stand up for myself and all that. But now she's about to enter high school. Things are going to be a lot different. And I told her kids could be very mean, very cruel. In fact, a lot of kids, All right. Yesterday was Saturday. Penelope comes downstairs crying. I'm like, Penelope, what happened? What's going on? She said, Daddy, my friend she almost committed taking her life. There's certain words we can say here. We can't. The channel gets hurt for it. But this little girl who's 13, she's in ICU right now. She was a member of Penelope's church group. Penelope's bawling her eyes out. And I'm like, sweetheart, what's going on? Like, do you know anything? And she said that the parents were locked off. They were very vague because they didn't even give the hospital that the child was in, because it's a heart-breaking, heart-wrenching story. I've read a lot of your comments, and some of you have been going through it too. Some of your comments bring tears to my eyes because of the hurts and the things you've been through, and I've been through that too. I know what that feels like. You're not alone. If you feel like there's something weighing you down, like there's no hope, you just feel oppressed, attached, do not make the ultimate sacrifice. HFC Tribe, I charge you. If you read anyone's comments who are going through something, don't dismiss them. That's why I respond, because you guys are my pen pals, and I really do care and love you. Please reach out to someone. Reach out to the crisis hotline. Reach out to someone. I know a lot of you may not have someone to reach out to. So that's why this community, I know I'm breaking up a little bit here because it's a sensitive subject that many of kids go through and adults go through. Please know you're not alone. Know that I love you. A lot of people in this community loves you. Talk to your kids about bullying and the things they're going through. A lot of kids don't talk to their parents. I talk to my kid about all these things. We're all in this thing called life together. And we have to stand by each other's side. All right, guys. That was a little deep one there. And I'm going to let this ride. I'm not going to edit this one out. I believe. Someone had to hear this message. Okay? I love you. HFC signing out. Peace.